All right, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for Thursday, March 20th, 2025. Flyers Daily brought to you, as always, by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Flyers 5-game road trip will continue tonight in D.C. against the team with the highest points percentage in the NHL. Yeah, I'm talking about the Washington Capitals. Where the heck did that come from? They were a team that I didn't even think would make the playoffs this year. It took them until game 82, if you recall, a year ago to get into the playoffs when they beat the Flyers. I think the score was 2-1, if I recall. They scored the game-winning goal into an empty net, and it cemented their chances to get into the playoffs. And this year they come in and they lose Ovechkin for a whole bunch of games, obviously a catalyst for that team. And they got the highest points percentage as we sit here on the 20th of March. That's insane. Last year, they were a wild card team. They went 40, 31, and 11, had 91 points. They were a minus 37 in goal differential. This year, it's been a whole different story for the Washington Capitals. As I mentioned, leading the league in points percentage at 721 with a record through 68 games of 45, 15, and 8. That is just absolutely stunning. And they made some moves in the offseason, ones you would look at and say, not franchise-changing moves, but they go from minus 37 in goal differential last year. They're plus 72 this year. 7-3 in their last 10. They've won their last 2. They've won 7 of their last 8. They're being led. They have 1 point per game player, and that's Ovechkin. And he obviously, like I mentioned, he missed a lot of time already this season. He's played 52 games. So he's missed, 16 games, 34 goals in 52 games at like 39 years of age. It's insane. 22 assists for 56 points again in 52 games. Next closest player they have to a point per game player is Dylan Strome. He's got 67 points in 68 games, 22 goals, 45 assists. Myrtetus has 29 goals, 32 assists, 61 points. Pierre-Luc Dubois having a good season, 42 assists, 18 goals, 60 points in 68 games. Tom Wilson's got 30 goals, 11 on the power play. Ovechkin's got 9 on the power play. Just tremendous depth on this team. Connor McMichael's got 24 goals, 52 points. John Carlson on the back end, 41 assists. Jacob Chikrin's been a big element on their back end as well on the D with 18 goals and 25 assists. I mean, really, really a team that when I look at this Caps team too, and you look at that depth, that's a team that could do something in the playoffs. I think you got to have depth in the playoffs. If you're a 1 or 2 line team that can carry you in a regular season, score you a ton of goals, and that's one thing. That's generally not the success of playoff teams. You've got to have good depth, and this team definitely has got good depth. They're well coached too with Stefan Carberry, getting good goaltending from Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren. Logan Thompson has played more games, 39 of them, but a record of 30 wins, 4 losses, and 5 overtime losses, a 229 goals against average, and a gaudy 917 save percentage. I mean, look at that record. It's got 4 regulation losses through 39 games. This is a team I think you look at and you go, yeah, they have 1 superstar, and they got a lot of really good players. The notion, I think sometimes, especially when we're talking about the Flyers and a rebuild and how do you do it, you got to have multiple superstars. You look at teams like Colorado when they had Mikko Rantanen and obviously Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, or you look at Florida, they had Kachuk, and they've got Barkov, multiple star players, and Edmonton with Draisaitl and McDavid, or the Maple Leafs with Marner, Matthews, Tavares, but this Washington team, with the little tweaks that they made, really didn't just keep the window open. They propped the window open big for this team to do something this year. Well, they're playing against a Flyers team that can't score right now and is struggling big time here down the stretch. Washington, good power play, 22.3%. That is in the NHL this season, not at the top of the league, but it's 16th. It's average. Good on the penalty kill, 78%. 161 goals allowed. Good low number. 238 goals for. So they're a team that is going to be very, very dangerous coming up in these playoffs. They're second in the NHL in goals allowed. The only team that's allowed less is the Winnipeg Jets. So it's in DC for the Flyers tonight against the Washington Capitals. Not an easy task. Flyers are in this part of a schedule struggling, and in the part of the schedule that is very unforgiving. Washington tonight, Dallas on Saturday on the road. Then they'll head to Chicago to take on the Blackhawks, obviously not one of the better teams in the league. And then it'll be, to wrap up the 5-game trip, in Toronto to take on the Leafs. Then they'll come home for a 3-game homestand against Montreal, Buffalo, and Nashville, 3 non-playoff teams as we speak. We'll see if Montreal can insert himself into that conversation. They're right there. So we'll see how that plays out. So Flyers, Caps tonight, and we'll see if the Flyers can find a way to get some goals on the board. I would imagine Ivan Fedotov will get the start tonight. He was good in the last game against Tampa. Gave up just the 1 goal in the breakaway to Nikita Kucherov. So we'll see where this goes coming up tonight for the Flyers. The lineup changes, there's not many options right now for the Flyers when it comes to lineup changes. Maybe we see Grabenkin at some point here as the 4th call-up for the Flyers. He did score a power play goal again in his game for the Phantoms last night. So he's got 2 power play goals in 2 games. So that's a good sign. He's close. I imagine he'll get a taste with the Flyers this year. And if he has a good camp, he'll make a team out of camp. And we'll see where he fits in the Flyers organizational depth chart. Certainly a lot of opportunity here in Philadelphia right now for players. So we'll see how that part plays out as well. Let's get into some ancillary things. First of all, I want to send out really heartfelt thanks to Amelie Benjamin from NHL.com. A lot of you probably saw the article. Some maybe not. I'll post it it's on my Twitter. You can see it on NHL.com, and I'll post it in the comment section of this YouTube as well. She wrote an article on my journey and what I'm going through with my colorectal cancer diagnosis. March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. The article came out yesterday, and it really surprised me. It was much longer and in depth than I could have imagined. And I thank her and the NHL.com editorial staff for that. And it tells the story how I'm approaching my cancer battle and using everything that I learned in the game of hockey, both as a player growing up and through my adult years, coaching as an assistant coach, a head coach in the sport for 20 years, and how I'm using what I've learned via hockey to fight this battle. And it tells the whole story, and parts of it are not pretty. I will tell you that now. They are detailed about the symptoms and things that I had to go through before coming to a diagnosis. But I wanted to thank her because she wrote an incredible piece, and I'm humbled by it. And I hope that for people that read it, you get something out of it. And the one thing I want people to get out of it the most is I want it to help people. I want people to listen to their body and get checked out. And I've received so many messages from people that are doing exactly that. So I had to give purpose to this journey. And this is the purpose of me having it, is to put my voice out there and create awareness about something that is very preventable in colorectal cancer and the awareness of it and the symptoms of it. So check that out. I really appreciate what she wrote. And in the article, other than some of the gory details, she had mentioned in the article, there was a quote in there from John Tortorella, who's really guided me through this as a guide that will kind of tackle it like a coach would in a locker room. And he mentions that to motivate me. Don't give me any excuses to let down, to keep pushing, those types of things. Eddie Olczyk, who I've mentioned on here before, has been a great resource for me as well. Edzo reached out to me after the Winter Classic when he had found out about my diagnosis, something he went through back in 2017 and 18. So he's been a great resource for me. And in the article was also mentioned that my idol growing up as a Flyers fan, because I grew up here, I'm born and raised. I was born in Glen Olden at Riddle Memorial Hospital in 1972. Lived in Delco for the first few years of my life, moved out to Westchester, I think in 74, 75 when I was 3 years old. And I've basically resided here my entire life with the exception of the time I went to Penn State. And I've been lucky. I came back home to work and been doing radio and media, whatever, here for 25 years, 26 years. So fan first. I was a fan growing up, and it was mentioned in the article that my idol growing up was Ron Hextall. My initial idol was Pelle Lindbergh, and I've always obviously been attracted to the goaltending position. Bernie was there, but I was still maybe a little too young to have an idol at that point. Pelle comes in. Obviously, we lost Pelle, and it was the first time I ever experienced loss in my life. I remember it and sobbing about it. And then Ron Hextall comes in, and just loved the way he played the game with such flair and such passion, and was a guy that was loud by clanking the pipes and played loud and was aggressive and would defend his teammates and play the puck. All those things like drew me to what he was as an NHL goaltender. And I idolized it. A lot of guys that played at that time, especially the position of goalie, took pieces of what Hextall did and put it into their games. Goalies started playing the puck more. And I was one of those guys. I loved playing the puck. Loved getting out of the net and playing the puck and moving it up to forwards and D and doing all those things. And kind of battling the way he battled in the position, although we were built obviously very differently. But he was my idol growing up. And yesterday, when I woke up, I didn't know the article was when it was going to be posted. And when I woke up, the first text I saw was from Hexy. And say what you will about him as a general manager, whatever. To see that text that he sent me, that he had read the article and he heard about what I was going through, and that he was, I'm not going to give you the details of the text. I'll keep that private. But for him to send that text meant the world to me. Just imagine the person that you idolized as a kid, and you're in a situation similar to what I'm in, or anything, and you get that text of support. It meant the world to me. So I thank Hexy for sending it. He is a class individual, and I always got along with him, and didn't always agree with what he did as a general manager, but the human side means more than anything, and I really appreciated that. So thank you to him for sending that. Now, this game of hockey, and I saw yesterday a tweet that the NHL playoffs will start a month from today, or from yesterday, on the 19th. They'll start April 19th. And again, it stewed me. It got me mad again that the Flyers won't be in it and that they're in this rebuild. And as I looked at the comments on the YouTube feed of yesterday's podcast, I saw some people say, and I saw it on Twitter and social media, continue the tank next year, because in the 26th draft, there's some generational players there. Gavin McKenna obviously is a guy that's been unreal. He's got numbers at his age that haven't been achieved since Mario Lemieux. And to go and, as they said, tank another year. Don't add anything this summer. Keep gathering more assets and tank another year. That's hard, first of all, to even think about and swallow after what we've gone through here already, to take another year on of that, and without even the guarantee that if you're the worst team in the league, you're going to end up with the number one overall pick. It's a lottery system. Flyers could end up with the number one overall pick in this draft. We don't know. We'll see how that plays out when they have the draft lottery coming up in about 4 or 5 weeks. But I couldn't get behind it, because I want this team to start moving forward. I want them to begin moving forward this offseason. I want them to have the goalie position solidified, at least to not to be something that can derail a season. And I brought up John Gibson on yesterday's episode. Some people commented on that. I brought up, a guy in Jake Allen, who's in New Jersey performing well, as maybe an option. One of the people responded, said, sign Jake Allen to a 2 or 3 year contract. That would be a good stopgap. Got this one message from Scobie Money. He said, Jason, love the podcast, but the constant yes for years now. If you want to fire this coach, then do what you want to hire has to stop. The same way if the fans want a player gone. We don't know who they're going to trade for them, and we don't care. It's the same with the coach. It's not our job to come up with a replacement. Who gives a crap if I say I want the guy from Pittsburgh? It doesn't make a difference. Management makes the call, and we don't have to have a candidate in mind. Fans are allowed to voice their displeasure at a player or coach. That's what being a fan is all about. Love the pod. He makes an incredible point, something that I didn't consider when talking about this yesterday. Absolutely, you do. That's what sports are about. You are totally entitled to your opinion on if a coach should be here, if a player should be here or not. I think you have to look at my point in what I was saying was, if not him, who, when you say trade this player or fire this coach or fire this GM or whatever it might be, is you don't just do it to do it. You have to do it to get the right person, the person that you believe is the right person. I got a lot of emails from people saying, look at the guy from Hershey. He's done a good job, Todd Nelson. Or you look at Derek Lalonde, who was a guy that was in Detroit, but wasn't really set up to succeed, but is a good coach. And the second tenure sometimes for coaches is the one that's good. They learn from their first tenure and things that didn't go right, and they rectify that in their second tenure as an NHL, as a head coach. We see it in the NHL. We've seen it in the NFL. Bill Belichick was originally the coach of the Cleveland Browns, was not thought of to be a good coach. And he went to a situation in his second, I believe it was his second head coaching job with the Patriots, and became a legend. We saw Andy Reid here in Philadelphia do a good job with the Eagles, got them to Super Bowl, conference championships. Then he went to Kansas City, and he has become a Hall of Fame coach. We see it in basketball and baseball. We see it in all sports, and the growth that a coach can make. So I don't know what the situation is going to be this summer. I don't know how it's going to play out with the coaching position and with player acquisitions. I think that the message from the team, the way I'm reading it, is that they're ready to start adding and moving forward and improving. And the notion of going into next year not improving the team and being bad for another year to try and get Gavin McKenna, I don't get the sense that that's in their plan. I don't. This rebuild has been easy to talk about, hard to live, as I always say. It's always easy to say tank, but there is a part of that that's the difficult part, the day-to-day part. And I saw a message on Twitter. I thought it was very interesting because a lot of people that said the tank are the people that are complaining that they're so bad right now. They traded away 5 players this year and haven't really replaced them with upgrades, and have subtracted over the last couple of years since Danny Briere took over. 19 players from when he took over have changed, and they haven't brought in players to improve, to get assets and to go through this process. So that notion of you want them to be bad, but then you complain that they're bad, to me is a bit of a contradiction. But I did see this on Twitter, and it came from the Liberty L on Twitter, and he said, put out a tweet that said, if you could take a positive out of this season, what would it be? And there was one response that I screenshotted from a guy, Tommy Tsunami, who also follows me. He said, Michkov showing what he could become, Drysdale finding his stride, Risto continuing to improve, and Cates taking a step forward. I would add Bobby Brink to that mix as well. He said, as up and down as this season has become, it's revealed what we are and what we are not. You can't move forward until those answers are clear. Again, I'll read that second part for you. As up and down as this season has been and has become, it has revealed what the Flyers are and what they are not as currently constituted. You can't move forward until those answers are clear. And that's part of that rebuild process. And I totally agree. I think we have found out some good things. I think there has been progression with certain players through this season. And there's been some regression for some guys, and there's been some regression for some elements, whether it be goaltending, power play hasn't improved. Cam York's standard and performance this year hasn't been the standard of the year prior. Matter of fact, a guy said on our Twitter or on our YouTube feed, WDJ Joe Frazier said, just tank the last 14 games after the season, fire the coach. He's ruining the team. Stop benching Michkov. He gets line one. Stop shuffling lines. Let lines play together for a whole season. Nobody lets lines play together for a whole season, bro. That's never happening. He said, let them build chemistry. He keeps letting them get used to each other and then change them. Well, they're not scoring. You can't just keep rolling out the same thing and expect a different result. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Sometimes you have to change it. If you're not creating offense, you've got to try different combinations. Stop pretending Ersson is a starter. Fedotov should have played twice as many games. Fedotov and Kolosov look decent. Then Torts goes back to Ersson returning from injury, then rides him 90% of the starts. He didn't ride him 90% of the starts. And 3 goalies is no way to run things. And they've looked it all of those guys. Philadelphia's had stretches where he's really struggled as well. He said trade Konechny. First of all, he's got a new contract kicking in, and he's got no trade clause. So let's not even start with the trade Konechny stuff. It's not happening. He committed to the rebuild to the team. The team committed to him. They're not going to all of a sudden trade him now. He said Konechny scores more goals than he scores. He's a 60-point minus 20 player. No, he's not. Just look at the stats. He's basically a point per game player in the NHL over an extended period of time now. So let's deal in facts. And he said he runs his mouth at the refs. Unacceptable. Okay. The turnover last weekend to Kucherov sums up his value or lack thereof. Trade Coots. He's too old to lead. I don't think age is a factor in leading, by the way. He's too old to play top minutes, not fast enough for today's game and the younger league. Maybe he's not fast enough. And maybe he's not a first-line center at this point in his career. He could be a good third-line center on a different team. Jet should have stayed all year. Totally disagree. Torts is now hurting our future. The faith is gone. The coaching line management cost us the playoffs and cost Michkov the Rookie of the Year trophy. First of all, I don't give a crap about the Calder Trophy. When Joel Embiid won the NBA MVP, I don't care. They're individual awards. I don't care about those. Number one. You think Torts cost them the playoffs this year? You think this team, with the subtraction, with Scotty Bowman in his prime, couldn't have coached this team to the playoffs this year and the flaws they have? So stop. To me, all due respect, Joe Frazier, a lot of the points in your comment tell me that your actual knowledge of the game and how things work is very surface. Very surface. Deal in facts. Let's all deal in facts about this. We'll see. Now, I got an email from a guy, Jared. I mean, I could do a whole episode on his email. It is an incredible email. The work he must have put into this. He said, "Hey, Jason, enjoying the pods. You're sounding good. And are the treatments getting any easier?" No, they're not getting easier, unfortunately. But I'm pushing. I'm going to push through. I'm sure it's as much fun to get to as used to breaking in a new chest protector for a goalie. Yeah, chest protector is the worst thing to break in for a goalie. Have to keep with it. Know it's for the best, even if it really sucks. Hang in there. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He said, I thought I'd send you a few Flyers thoughts to distract you and give you something to think about for the pod. Talks about the end of the season draft lottery. He's got screenshots in here. This is an unbelievable email. Well composed. I'm very impressed. He talks about where the Flyers could end up, anywhere 5 to 7, and a player they can get, a big center. Roger McQueen seems like a guy. And this interview makes me feel better about it, and really kind of lays it out. Flyers could win the lottery and choose between Schaefer at center. And you know, the other Hagens is a guy obviously in there as well in that 5, 6, 7 range. Talks about the head coach. He said, I think the writing is on the wall here that Mike Sullivan will be let go by Kyle Dubas and the Penguins and make the drive across the Pennsylvania Turnpike to Philly shortly thereafter. He said, I hope so, because I like him. And while I love Tort's tenure here, I think now would be the best opportunity to move on good terms. And I hope Sullivan brings David Quinn, who's his assistant coach, with him and can save this power play. The Penguins are ranked 10th in the NHL in the power play at 23.96 currently. And they were 30th last year at 15.27%. Flyers were 32nd at 12.2%. So he shows the improvement year to year on the power play with David Quinn, who was a former head coach with the New York Rangers. He says, yes, the Pens have some running games, but the number of power plays is way down this year, which is crazy, the amount of power plays that are down. He talks about trades and UFAs and RFAs. He said, the offer thing sheet sounds fun, but I don't see it for Briere. I think they're going to make a blockbuster deal with Vancouver. I think part of it is obvious, and the second less so. And he frames out a trade that the Flyers and Vancouver would make for Elias Pettersson and Thatcher Demko. Now, Demko's been really banged up, and I'm going to do some due diligence on Demko and talk to my buddy Kevin Woodley about Demko and where his game is. And he's been a good goaltender. I don't know if they're looking to trade him. The Pettersson acquisition, obviously, he's elite talent. There's some really, really big red flags there with Elias Pettersson. And I've done some digging on this from some people in Vancouver. And there's some issues that really are warning signs about him and his motor and the way he plays. But his trade scenario was Elias Pettersson and his $11.6 million contract and Thatcher Demko at $5 million to the Flyers for Cam York, who's coming up on an RFA year. He'll be a restricted free agent this offseason. Alexei Kolosov, who's got a $925,000 contract. He's with the Phantoms right now. And Zamula at $1.7 million, plus the 2025 Edmonton first-round pick, the 2026 first-round pick for the Flyers, and the 2025 second-round pick for the Ducks. Look, they had obviously a huge situation out there in Vancouver, and between Elias Pettersson and Miller, and they moved Miller. Are they going to look to move Pettersson as well? I don't know. As I mentioned, there are some really big red flags that concern me. I don't know the full story, but this is where guys like Keith Jones is. He mentions in his email, this is where Keith Jones' network of contacts come in. I'm sure he knows firsthand what's really going on with the player, his personality, and his health. I'm sure his buddy Rick Tocchet won't sugarcoat it either. And Jonesy and Tocchet are very close. If they swing that deal and Matsvey's next contract is something like $10 million, the two of them would account for only 19% of the Flyers' total cap. Austin Matthews accounts for 15% of the Leafs' total number by himself. The sticker shock of an $11 million deal should be taken into context of a rapidly rising cap. In 2 years, when Matvey gets paid $11 million, will be second-tier money. He's absolutely right about that. You do see some of these numbers come out now, and you go, okay, in a rising cap world, it's not about the number. It's about the percentage of cap. So, Jared, incredible email. Well done. Well done. You researched it, and you dealt in facts, unlike the guy in the Twitter comment or the YouTube comment section. Fantastic. I appreciate that email. You can always send an email to me at jason.myrtetus@gmail.com, Myrtetus. A couple of real things to clean up, too. First of all, I didn't mention this on yesterday's pod. I meant to. Bob Kelly retiring. Obviously, he was a player, game-winning goal in a Stanley Cup against the Buffalo Sabres, back-to-back cups, has been with the organization for basically his entire life. What he has given to the hockey community in Philadelphia cannot be underestimated, cannot be understated or overstated. This guy, player here, has been an ambassador. I've watched Hound show up to more Flyers Cup finals, handing out that trophy to high school teams for winning the Flyers Cup for decades. Decades. He may even have been there when I was playing. I played in 4 Flyers Cups, 87 to 91. Hound, you've done good work, man. You have done unbelievable work for the hockey community and the growth of the game in this area. So congratulations on your retirement. Incredibly honored to have gotten to know Hound a little bit and spend some time talking to him over the years. Great guy. And the work he's done is insurmountable. Also, the Flyers Cup tournament has gone on. Congrats to Holy Ghost. They won the AAA championship last night. Holy Ghost Prep. Also to the girls champions, Avon Grove. They beat Downingtown, I think Downingtown West. The final score of that game was 12-11, I believe. 9 goals were scored by Downingtown West, Ava Thomas, in the game. She is unbelievable. I've had people message me about her. I've seen her play. She is headed to Boston College and an unbelievable player. One of the great girls players to come out of this area. Stunning, the numbers that she has put up. The other AA game is going on as we're taping this, so we'll give them their congratulations tomorrow. But also congratulations to Garnet Valley, the Garnet Valley Jaguars. They won the Flyers single A Flyers Cup championship. And I'm proud to say that their starting goaltender, Garrett Stoops, is a kid that played for me and I coached. And I'm so proud of him because he gets the win. They beat Westchester Henderson 10-2 in the Flyers Cup final. And he's a really good kid, loves the position. I loved coaching him. And I'm so proud that he's a Flyers Cup champion. So best of luck to all of those teams and whoever wins the AA championship this weekend in the States against the teams from the Pittsburgh area. Congratulations to you guys. High school hockey is great in this area. As I said, I played in 4 Flyers Cups for Malvern Prep and Westchester East. In my day, coached in it many times, won many Flyers Cups as a coach with Westchester Ruston and the wagon that they had over a 10, 12-year period. And great tournament. So congratulations to all involved in that great tournament. And this game just, this game of hockey and the community is just so incredible. And seeing so many people playing the game at all these different levels is just awesome. It's part of the greatest community to be a part of, and they've been incredible to me. So I love it. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching Flyers Caps tonight. We'll recap it tomorrow. Join us then when we present you with a brand new Flyers Daily. Have a great day, everybody.